Hello everybody, my name is Jimmy and welcome back to Jimmy Does Knitting. I'm an expat living and knitting in Amsterdam, and this is my podcast where we talk about knitting things, some crochet things, and we pick a topic and go from there. This is going to be one that is a series of videos of my sort of stash busting in 2024, or how I'm working in my stash. We'll go through that. If you'd like to contact me, I am Jimmy Does Knitting on Ravelry and Instagram and Discord and of course YouTube. And don't forget to like and subscribe. So like I said, today it's going to be about stash busting. But before we get to that, what am I wearing? It is a Monday morning. I am feeling lazy. Did I skip yoga? Yes, I did. And I wanted to wear knitwear for the podcast, but I also wanted to wear a hoodie and sweatpants, so I didn't really have to change. So here we are. I'm wearing the Polder hoodie that has been released. Thank you to all of you who have purchased it. It is on Ravelry. Links will be below if you want to purchase that. I've talked about it a bunch, but like it's knit in one piece from back over the shoulders up to front, seamed on the sleeves. It's really nice. It's super comfortable. I absolutely love it. This is the prototype. So this has a little bit of a different texture. It has a seersucker texture, which I thought was really beautiful, but was not necessarily for this project. Also, the hood and the sleeves needed some adjustments, but it's a black hoodie. It's super oversized. It's very comfortable. I love it. I used some drops Nepal on it. I think I have like 1 or 2 skeins left. This was on sale, so I think I made this sweater for like under 50 euros maybe. It was really nice. This is a little bit heavier than the gauge in the actual pattern, but the yarn is supposed to be 17 stitches in 22 rows for 4 inches, 10 centimeters. It is 65% wool, 35% alpaca. So it's nice, it's affordable. I mean, this is really comfortable. The only thing is the alpaca content makes this garment quite heavy, which is fine because it's a slubby, slouchy sort of thing, but something to keep in mind when you're knitting. But let's get into it. So, little bit of stash busting update. You are seeing the episode of like Help, What Do I Knit last week, if you're watching this currently. And I filmed that like maybe a month ago. My podcasts are a little bit out of order because I moved up the hoodie release and I've just been doing stuff. So that's what's happening. My beard is going to grow and shrink. Just be prepared for it. Anyway, I have been knitting in the meantime and been getting through some of my stash, and that's been really nice. I've done some swatching, which gets rid of some, leftover yarns that I have in like a bin with like small quantities, so that's fine. And I threw some away. I'm going to be honest, I threw some away. I have some plant fibers that I took and I just threw the leftovers away. I could not give them away. I brought them to a couple of knit nights. Nothing was happening. They're also under like 5 euros each per ball, and they were 100% plant fibers. So I was like, this is okay to remove from my life via the bin. I wouldn't recommend it, but like sometimes this is what you have to do. And yeah, so what got me on this kick is I was looking at my stash at the end of last year. I had like 25 balls of this like drops worsted weight black linen. I had a bag of yellow West wool that was like 10 skeins. I had like 10 skeins of Cascade 220 for another sweater I was going to do. I had a couple of other sweater quantities. I knew I was getting a sweater quantity for Christmas, and then I had a bag for the Troy Boy, which is a design that I have coming out in mid-April, that was just like looking at me, and I was like, okay, we need to start working through some of the stash. And we've been working on it, but some of it was a little bit deeper stash, some of it was not. So we started with the linen. And what happened with that was market bags. I am not the biggest fan of plant fibers for knitting. I think I need at least 50% wool, but what it's great for is crochet. And I think like even a crochet top would work, but like a crochet bag would be all right. This is just a free pattern that I found on the internet. It's like market bag or market bag 2 or something. So I did this while I was in the UK, and then I have a little bit bigger of a one where I tried to use more of my stash on that, and I like knit until it was like big enough. I made this a little bit denser just because it used more yarn, and then I made the straps a little thicker, and then when I was done, and I just threw away the extra ball that I had. But these will be really good for summer. It's just like a black market bag. I'll probably use these all right. So yeah, this one's more of like a beach bag. This is like a around town tote bag. I think it will be nice. It was a good use of it. I've been knitting so much that I've been getting a bit of like RSI, and for some reason the way I crochet really irritates it. So it took a while to get through these, but not because they were hard, but because I would have to do like a row and then stop, row, stop, row, stop. But yeah, it's done. This stuff is out of my stash, and I think that this was like a really good use for it. I think it fits my personality well, and it will, yeah, somebody will always use a tote bag for something. So that was good because that got rid of all of that stash. And that was quite a decent amount. I mean, I did knit through something, so it was maybe 15 balls at the time. So like I probably used 14 and threw the other one away. And yeah, but I would recommend it. There are plenty of free market bag patterns on Ravelry, and yeah, or the internet in general. I think crochet, there are a lot more free patterns. But yeah, so I did that. I used the Drops Bomull or whatever. It's a worsted weight linen. It's in the color black. I used a 4.5 millimeter hook on these. Yeah. So anyway, crochet is fast. If I really want to get through something, I crochet it, because like a blanket or something, it goes so much faster and it gets the stuff out. So that was the goal with this. These are out. I don't have to worry about this anymore, and I have a cute little bag. So this was the first thing that I did. And let's move on to the experiment that I did. So if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I'm obsessed with this scarf pattern called the Gaca scarf. This is one I made a while ago. This is the second one I made. And I used Plutolopi and Drops Kid Silk Mohair, and both in black. Just for the reference, the Plutolopi is here. Everything's on the floor. I'm sorry, it's a mess. It's an unspun wool, which is really cool. You can see right here, it's like no twist. And watching Knitting Traditions, she's like, oh, you need like a piece of lace weight, a piece of something to hold with the Plutolopi or unspun wool, and it gives it a lot more structure. It stops it from pilling, and it's just a more pleasant knitting experience. And I would agree. I don't think that I would knit unspun by itself again. Maybe I will. I probably will. But like in general, I think my preference is to do that, is hold it with a lace weight. And what's the most obvious lace weight is mohair. So I made this one. It's a really nice one. I love the pattern on this. If you know me, I love twisted stitches. I think it's so beautiful. And I bought enough. So according to the pattern, you need 2.5 balls of it. And so I ordered 3 because you can't order half. And then it took 1.5 with the mohair. So I made this, and then I had essentially another quantity left over, and I was gonna maybe make another one, maybe not. But what I found is the Plutolopi plus the mohair, and this is not like the highest quality mohair, right? Like we're not talking tin silk or like knitting for olive. It's really scratchy on my neck. I was wearing it like putting my hood up and then like wrapping it around my neck. I wore it a lot, but like I had to have a barrier between that and my skin. And so it became that I wanted to knit another one, and I wanted to hold it with just a non-mohair lace. I think this is the project that said no more mohair for me. Like I just don't want to, like I think knitting with mohair is fun, but like I'm done with it. It's more expensive. I like how you can create depth with it in something. Like if you take like a shade of like, I don't know, brown, and you have like either a lighter brown or a darker brown mohair, or something with like a little tinge of green or blue or something, it can really change the garment, and I like what that does. But like overall, I don't necessarily see the need for mohair, and it makes the project a little bit more expensive. People love it, not for me. And it's just itchy. I know there are better ones, but still itchy. Anyway, so I wanted to use the Plutolopi with another strand of lace weight that was not mohair. And I know there's Isair Alpaca 1, maybe Alpaca 2, something like that. They have something, which is a lace weight. Also, Isatex, which is the people who make Plutolopi, make one called Einbands. And that is like a lace weight that's just like a wool. I don't think it's like merino wool or anything. And so I was going to get some Einband whenever I order some Sandis garn. There's a shop that I want to go to, and they also have some Einband. So I was waiting for that to make this scarf. But long story short, there was a yarn store that was closing, and they did not have a sale. I went there to get some cheap yarn, and everything was like full price. I was so disappointed, and I ended up spending 40 euros when I was hoping to spend like 20, but whatever. But they had this cool wool lace by Lana Grosa. It doesn't specifically say superwash, but it feels superwashy, which is a little disappointing. Like, that's why I would not buy this again. This was 50 grams, 400 meters, virgin merino wool. And then it says non-felting, so I think that means superwash. And then it's like 34 stitches per 10 inches is what it said. So it was just this. And I held it together with the Plutolopi, and I made another scarf that I just dropped. It's a mess over here, kids. And I made this one. So this is the same Gaca scarf, and this is my stash busting for my Plutolopi, held with the cool wool and the Einband. I think that I don't know if you can see this or not, but like the pattern really shows up a lot better, I think. It's just twisted stitches and twisted stitches and twisted stitches. I think it turns a lot better here. This one's smaller than the other one, and I think that's just because I haven't worn it as much and stretched it out, but it's really nice. And I'm replacing the mohair one with this one, and I'll be wearing this a lot more. It goes really well with my Does Diamonds hat. It's a good like combo when I go out. So yeah, it was a little bit of an experiment to see like unspun plus a lace, and then like what lace I want. And the answer is not mohair, but this. I don't know if you guys can see this. I think the lighting's terrible today, and my camera's not great at translating. But yeah, so these are the two Gaca scarves, and this is by Atelier Cliche. I've knit one other one in Plutolopi, and look, I love this pattern. I think it's great. It's really like fast and addictive. It's all charted, so you have to be able to read the charts. And there are a bunch of twisted stitches, and he explains them well, but also I have some tutorial videos about how to do the right leaning twist and the left leaning twist, which you can look up on my page if you're interested. And yeah, in general, I'm putting out a couple more tutorials as I get to them. I'm not like advertising them on Instagram or like notifying anybody on YouTube, but like, yeah, there are tutorials for techniques and stuff that I'm putting out in addition to podcast episodes. Gaca scarf. Yeah. Next, this is a good one. So this is my Woven Warmth by Nancy Marchant. Guys, this one is beautiful. It is so much fun to make because it has that like stripy thing, you know, when you knit stripes, you're like next one, next one, next one. And it's in Tarja, but it's like easy in Tarja because like the color this way, like the main color right here, goes through, and you don't really have to like intarsia it. You know, they're not multiple ones on that axis necessarily, but you know, the ones going vertically are different and you have to go through. So this is in my stash busting, although I think I actually bought more yarn than I used because I didn't use one color in the end because it was too dark. I wanted a lighter thing. But this is all Holst Supersoft, and then a lot of these colors were from my stash. And then I bought a couple of other like light yellows and neutrals, I believe, and then I supplemented that and to do this. So I've used actually like a couple balls of like little small Holst balls, and then yeah, so net it was like a little bit over, but I used a lot from my stash in order to create this. And by a little bit over, I mean I've welcomed more into my stash than I'm out, but let's get there. So let's go over the colors, see if I can remember them. What I did was I did stripes of 3, and I did 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 from the center out, and then I did 3 up. I'm going to be honest, I kind of like the more random versions of this rather than the more woven ones, which is what I went for. But I mean, it doesn't look bad, and I think it's all right. And also what I did is I went yellow, neutral, yellow, neutral. So let's go from the middle out. This is pineapple, nougat, sunshine. This is a bleached, which let's take a moment. Like this bleach is really not any different from the Ecru, like back here. So the background color in this white stripe sort of thing is Ecru, and the bleach and the Ecru kind of look the same. Oh no, this is sunshine. This might be old gold. And then what do we got here? We have an oat, and we have maize, and then we have the Ecru. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of different colors, and I think it turned out really nice. It's a huge shawl. Holst Supersoft, I think, is really good for shawls because you don't have to spend a lot of money, but you get like a lot out of it, and they have a decent color range. I also think Holst is pretty soft. It's not merino soft, but I think it's all right. The key is when you're washing it, like this to me feels like good and like soft and something I would wear. When you're washing it, cold water if you're worried about bleeding, maybe a little bit of vinegar, but like dish soap. Dish soap, rinse it twice through with a dish soap, and that will get you really good results with Holst Supersoft. Otherwise, just even like your eucalyptus and stuff is not enough like soap to break down the amount of lanolin that's in Holst Supersoft. So it's a little like, people are like, oh, my garment's really scratchy. It's like, yeah, you didn't wash all the oils out of it. Like you need to actually like wash it and process it and maybe agitate it a little bit, not a lot. And also what I liked about this in terms of like weight, Holst is actually a quite light yarn, but intarsia, because when you do intarsia, so you don't get gaps when you do the color change, you don't just switch yarns, you have to interlock them like this. And when you interlock them, it like adds weight to the garment. So like, this is a heavier shawl than if it was just plain Holst. And I at first was taking these like textures and spreading them out a little bit, but I actually liked them a little bit more plump. I thought it added more to the woven part. This is the back. I don't think that this is very intimidating. I think it's pretty straightforward. There were a decent amount of ends to weave in, but in terms of how intarsia goes, it was all right. So yes, the woven one by Nancy Marchant. It's really fun to knit. I love it. If you're not a shawl person, there is a cowl that comes along as a companion pattern with this, and then she has a whole woven warmth like self-published booklet basically where she describes the technique and you can use it for other applications. A couple of people have been asking me about that. So yeah, highly recommend the woven warmth. It's just nice. It was so much fun to knit. I'm not a big shawl person, but like I knew that I would really enjoy it because I love intarsia and I love like stripes and playing with color and stuff. And like this was just so much fun. So highly, highly, highly recommend. The next one that I have was a bit of a surprise stash buster for me. I knit the Oba sweater for my mom last year sometime, and I had one skein of the Gilliat in Nuit. That's how I'm pronouncing it, Nuit. I had this left over. It's a worsted weight, it's woolen spun. It's really nice, especially when you wash the, like, any Rerum Natura. Like, it's nice and it feels good. But when you wash it and just like a little bit of eucalypt and get that warm water going, this stuff just like softens up in a way that you're not expecting, and I really enjoy it. Also, it's fairly affordable. Like, this is some of the cheapest, like 100% wool yarn that I could find in black. I highly recommend. I will be using this stuff more, but I will not be using this color a whole lot more. I just don't think it's my color. It was very much like what was needed for the sweater. But I went to craft night, and it was in Den Haag at Cross and Woods. Go check them out. They have beautiful yarns. If you're in Europe, but especially in Netherlands, go do it. They have like Bissé Bouche. They have a ton of Rerum Natura. They have some like hand-dyed sock yarns. They have some really like special yarns, and then also like very like woolly yarns that are not necessarily like rustic, but like, I don't know, very much like a selection that I enjoy. And they have like a couple of curated like small ones that you want to see that are not so expensive. It's not like Stephen and Penelope where it's like, I found this hand dyer, here's this 35 euro skein. It's like, no, I found this like small farm in Spain that does something. And they also have some more commercial yarns like We Are Knitters and whatever. All that to say, I cast on, and then I need to go get some water. I'll be right back. Okay, I've watered myself. Hopefully that will help. If not, we'll see how it goes. I'm not feeling the best. I have like this nose thing you don't care about. You care about the knitting. So I cast on for a Does Diamonds hat, which is my own pattern, and I knew it went fast because it was knit on 5mm needles, and I have it memorized. And I recommend 100 grams of yarn for it. I weighed this afterwards. I knit it in like 75. I know I use less yarn than most people because I continental purl, I Eastern purl. I purl funny, it uses less yarn. So it probably takes like 80, 85 grams. This is a 100 gram skein. And then I knit the hat. So this is the Does Diamonds hat. It is not blocked, but it has this texture and this beautiful twisted stitch pattern that I like, and it was super easy. I really honestly knit on the train to Den Haag at craft night and then back. I got this much done. And then I did the crown shaping the next morning. It was super easy, but I really like this hat. It's only one size, but this has been my go-to hat for this whole winter. I love this. I love this so much. And then what I do is, this is the reverse side. So I have a twisted purl. Maybe you can see that. I don't know. A twisted purl on the reverse side. So when you fold it up, it has twisted stitches. And then you have this beautiful texture. And then instead of me showing you my head, oof, this hair, it has really nice like swirl on top. What I will say about this pattern is you have to be able to read charts, and I would say you should be able to read your knitting. If you go by the instructions and you can follow the instructions without making a mistake, you're fine. But I've been getting a decent amount of knitting support questions on this, and like it's mostly because people are having a hard time reading their knitting and like figuring out like how the pattern is made and like what stitches compose that. So when they rip back, they're like, oh, I don't know because I don't have my 12 markers in. So this is not a beginner pattern. It's a beautiful pattern. I think it will challenge most people, I would say. But it's beautiful. And then like I said earlier, I have tutorials on how to do the twisted stitches. And I actually have a whole tutorial on how to make the hat with me. I was saying that if you buy the pattern, I have a tutorial on how to knit the hat with me. There's some things with moving the markers or doing the stitches that are, I don't know, I feel easier to show than explain, although I believe they're explained well in the pattern. I've also recently updated it so the left-leaning decreases or something are in a different color than the right, and so it's a little bit more visual. But yeah, this is my Does Diamonds hat. It ended up in literally less than 24 hours, and it was a surprise stash buster for me, so really happy with that. All right, this next one is, it is what it is. I have a sweater's quantity of onion nettle sock yarn. I've used this a couple times before. I really like it. It's like a thin fingering weight. It is 30% nettle fibers and 70% wool. And it's supposed to be used for socks. I want to use it for like a slutty summer cables. And I was going to do this whole thing where I had a pattern that I wanted. I was going to make these cables. It was going to be beautiful. So I did a couple of swatches. I did this swatch with like different needle gauges, and maybe you can see it better if I hold it like this. I don't know. But the idea was to figure out like on a 9mm, 8mm, 7mm, 6 and 5, how the fabric knit up. And then from there, I was going to pick a needle size and then make a sweater out of it. But I wanted cables. So like now I know how this is just as like mesh, and I quite like it. I think I liked the 7mm mesh the best. I might just make a mesh one because it will be easier. I don't know. The thing is last year I spent a whole like 10 months trying to figure out like a knit summer sweater that I really liked, because my cable sweater that I had, that was my summer cable sweater, it died. And I tried a couple of different things to make something similar, and I just didn't like it. And that's where all that linen yarn came from. And I need to stop. I need to stop. We're just gonna do it. If I do something, it just needs to be like a plain, like drop shoulder seamed in like the 7mm stockinette. That's it. But anyway, I did this swatch to figure out what I wanted. And then I did another swatch of it with the gauge that I liked to make cables. And I don't know if you can see this because it looks, is that the right side? No? I mean, it doesn't even matter. It's illegible. You can't read it. I had plans for this. It was going to be beautiful and it was going to be super quick to do. And I'll have like an Aran sweater that was like made to go. And I hate it. I really hate it. Like, you can't read it. It's just like not doing what I want it to do. And I just need to stop. I was going to make a video and like take you through the process of how I was designing it. Well, the first part of the process is swatching to see if you like your design. And the answer is no, I do not. So we're not going to stash bust this anytime soon. I think I'm going to either do a stockinette version of it with this, or I'm gonna wait until somebody comes out with something. I don't know because I don't want to knit like a Aran sweater on 5mm needles with this, which is essentially probably what I ultimately want, but I don't want it anyway. So this stash busting was a stash bust fail, but it's good that I went through that, and I wanted to take you into a part of that just to see, like, they're not all winners. It's not great, and this is going to stay in my stash for a bit, but I'm sure I'll use it because it's black fingering weight yarn. So, who knows? One last one, we got a basket. This last one is... I'll show you the project first, and then we'll discuss the yarn. It's the FrostFang scarf by Les Garcons. Which way is it? This is the front. So this is what they were using for their advent calendar this year. Like they, have a bunch of mini skeins, and this is the pattern that went with it. And I thought it would be a great stash buster, and I also thought it would be fun to do in like 3 colors. So I'm obsessed with this idea of like white and yellow, or like light and yellow as a shawl scarf thingy. This is going to be a scarf. It's going to essentially be oriented this way. And there are going to be 8 of these squares, I believe. total, which is great because it's pretty quick. It's a pretty mindless knit. It's very repetitive. It's super easy to memorize. It's modular, so you just need like a short needle, and then you do like one triangle, 2 triangles, and then up to 8, and then you can make it longer if you want. But I think 8 would probably be all right. Either way, I'm finding it enjoyable and fairly quick, and it's a good stash buster. And let's go through it. So first off, my cone of Holst Ecru. This thing has been with me through like 3 sweaters, the woven warmth, and then now this and stuff. And I thought, like, I love a cone. It makes me feel like a real knitter, and like I'm like using a quantity of yarn and stuff, but I am not using this as much as I thought I would. Like, I'm already on my 3rd cone of the black, but for like the white, this is still the first one. And they come in 500 gram cones, and I'm just like, if I need white, I can just get like a couple of balls for like, I don't know, 10 euros or something like that, and not have to have a whole cone, because it takes up a lot of space, and I just don't use it, and I'm finding ways to use it, but then like, not. So I'm trying to use up this cone, is basically what I'm trying to say, and then I'll just have some white yarn in my stash, I think, instead. So there's this, which is going to be the main color. There is, everybody's been talking about this cone and like giving me some project advices. I really like the idea. Somebody said like a Charlie Brown shirt with this. I think that could be cool. This is a woolly knit cone. It's in the color Zest. It's their British 4-ply. I'm sure it says here, actually. Yeah, I was right. So they have the yellow, which is this insane yellow. I still don't really know what to do with it, but I think it's a great accent color. I've done a couple things, but like I still have quite a bit of this yarn. So more suggestions. And then I was going to use my black cone of Holst, and I did use it for the first triangle. Where was it? In this one. But I've had this West Wool bicycle from like the first days of knitting. So it's probably like 3 years old. I have like this little bit and this little bit. I'm never going to use this again. 2 reasons is, one, they changed their formula. So this is their older formula, and it's not quite the same as their new formula. And this had Tessel sheep in it, which is a bit of hardier breed, and I think that this is a little bit like more dense, and the other newer stuff is like a tiny bit more soft, but it's a little like looser spun, and I think it's a little bit larger. In general, I'd say West Wool bicycle, which is supposed to be their fingering weight, is a heavy fingering weight. And yeah, and just like, I just don't, the combo of this and the other one, like a newer version, I don't think that they would appear the same in a garment if I used this black and that black. So all that to say, I'm just using these up. It doesn't use much at all, as you can see. It's just like one, it's like 4 rows, I think this is, on like each stripe. So I'm hoping to at least get rid of this one and then get into a little bit of this, but I don't even know if I'll use this much of the West Wool. So yeah, I thought that would be good. Maybe it's noticeable, maybe it's not, but like I figured if it's a stash buster, go for this. And this is like deep stash. Well, deep stash for me. I haven't been knitting so long, but at least this way it will be used. So yeah, that's the FrostFang. I'm really enjoying it. It takes, what did I say? Like it took like a day, maybe 2, if I like partially knit on this thing to do a square. So this will be done pretty quickly, I'd imagine. And I'm gonna make every rectangle, triangle, shapes. I'm gonna make every triangle the same. Which I think is kind of boring and not very stash busty, but like, I mean, this is busting my stash, but like, if you look at their actual advent, they had like 2 main skeins, and then they had a bunch of like minis, which were the triangle and then the stripe. So I think that they used like each one was like a triangle and a stripe. Don't quote me on this, but like, yeah, so it busted a bit more minis. So if you literally have like 10 grams of something, it could be a stripe in this. And I'd recommend this pattern. I don't think it's getting much love, any love. Just even a couple people that had the thing only posted it. So I saw There's like maybe 1 or 2 other versions. But I mean, I think it's quite striking and I'm enjoying knitting it. It's super quick. It's pretty brainless and it's a good way to like knit through some stash. And that's all I have for you today. I'm looking around. I don't think I have anything more. We went over quite a few projects that I've done. So yeah, as you can see, there's no of the remaining works in progress or like plans or anything like that in here. I talk about plans in my next video, and then we're gonna go hardcore back into sweaters in the video after that. So if you're interested in that content, click like, subscribe. You can see that we have similar types of content in the back catalog. I think I have like 40 episodes now, something like that. So lots of ideas, lots of knitting to see. Thank you for joining me on my journey. Please share, tell a friend, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Oh, what I wanted to say is when I don't like pray, I'm not religious. I'm not going to really get into that. But what I do is when at the end of yoga, I do like my version of like a little prayer. And it's just like, I say, we're going to go for this. We're going to see if this gets cut out. But like, I just go like, thank you to the self. Thank you to the inner teacher. Thank you to all the teachers. And then I usually say thank you to like the teacher who's doing the class. So like, thank you to you in this case for watching the video. And I just thought that would be a nice little way of like gratefully, with gratitude, ending the podcast and really like appreciating myself, my efforts, but also you for coming here and your efforts and the community that we're trying to build and foster with kindness and respect and all of that stuff. Anyway, get back to your day, get back to your evening, get back to your knitting for sure. And I will see you later. Bye.